Hello, and welcome to Shrink, the podcast for the mind. I'm Philippe and I talk to the people who want to have a better understanding of their issues with weight and body image. I wasn't really sure at first if I wanted to use that terminology, mindful shopping. But that's what it is, really. And so that's what I'll talk about, shopping mindfully. But what do I really mean by that? Well, in fact, it's whenever you're buying your groceries, it can be online or it can be at your local supermarket or in a smaller shop. It's about being able to change your habits. You know, when we shop, we usually go to the same aisles, we look out for the same food. And if we want to make some changes to our eating habits, it may require to look further, to look into places where we don't usually look and buy things that we wouldn't think of at the first place. There are some food which are more addictive, that's for sure. Or let's say, if not addictive, more difficult to stop eating once we've started. And for example, crisps are more addictive because they're usually very tasty and they're crispy. So you know there is that crunch and they're salty, and so altogether it's more difficult to stop eating crisps than it would be to stop eating other things. But in fact, I don't want to tell you what you should or shouldn't eat in this episode. Because first of all, I'm not a nutritionist, and I never pretended to be. And then you've got your own taste. You know the things that you like. You know the things that you need for yourself, but also for your family. Let's say if you're living with others, with your partner or with your kids, if they are around. And then there is your budget. So I'm not going to tell you to buy avocados every day because they're expensive, for example. Or maybe you will think that you want to buy food which is more eco-friendly. And it makes sense. More and more people speak about eating food which is produced more locally. Anyway, this is all up to you. That's not my aim. My aim is to help you understand why we tend to repeat the same mistakes, why we tend to feel hungry at some point at home, or feel like wanting to eat something, and we open the cupboard or we open the fridge, and the only things we have are the ones we're not supposed to eat if we intend to lose weight. It's like there is no alternative, no healthier alternative. I have the feeling that we somehow, not all the time, but very often, we plan unconsciously, we plan our sabotage in terms of food. It's like we buy things that we know that we will be tempted to eat at some point, even though they're not going to help us if our aim is to lose weight. So why do we do this sabotage? Well, because for some of us, it's not that obvious, it's not that easy to lose weight. I mean, there is the weight loss in itself, but there is also what comes along with the weight loss. It's that new image that we will have, is how will others look at us? Will I be in competition with my friends? Will they feel like I'm competing with them? How will I manage the looks of others, men or women, and who may find me more attractive? So unconsciously, there's so many reasons why we sabotage ourselves when we are talking about losing weight. Sometimes it's a family pattern. It's something if you come from a family where many of your parents or ancestors, let's say, are overweight, it's not easy to change that pattern, to find a new way of being and looking, which is really yours, not the one of your family. Some people say, well, I come from a family of fat people. Everybody's fat. And usually it's not completely true, in fact. But that's the feeling they have. I mean, most of the time there would be some people in the family who are not fat. But their feeling is like they belong to that family of fat people. And losing weight would mean having some kind of a distance with that family. So these are a few examples, that I'm giving you to tell you, to explain why we would we could be tempted to sabotage our weight loss. Of course, unconsciously. When you speak to someone, they will never tell you, yes, I'm afraid, that if I lose weight, I will start being more attractive. I will dress in a way which is more sexy, maybe. And so, in order not to get there, I'm going to buy loads of chocolates that I love so that I won't lose weight. And so I won't have to deal with that. Of course, nobody's going to tell you that. It's something which is really unconscious, and it's something we don't have a grip on, really, if we don't realize why we're doing it. That's why when I speak to my clients, I usually ask them, what's the week ahead like? And they say, not much. I have a lunch with a few friends on Tuesday, and then Wednesday evening I'm going out with my parents, and to try to find the moments that will be more difficult to manage in terms of food. And for some people, it will be when they will be at home. It will be when they will be eating either by themselves or with their kids, partner, wife, husband, whatever. So that's when shopping mindfully can make a difference. So that if you're tempted to eat to compensate, a feeling of loneliness or a feeling of boredom or some stress that you've had during the day, well, at least if you open your cupboard or your fridge, you will find things that will help you in that way. I mean, some things that will please you, but some things that you can say no to at some point as well, things that are less addictive to you. I think making a list is really interesting. It's a good way to do things. So how do we do a list? I mean, because from the top of our head, we will think, at first we will think about the things we are used to buy. So I think it's a good idea to go online and think, okay, that could be a good idea. I never think of buying, mozzarella and tomato, for example. I mean, maybe it's obvious for you, maybe you're having mozzarella and tomato quite often, but some people don't even think about that. And again, I'm not saying that mozzarella and tomato is a diet food, and I'm not talking about diet food. I'm talking about, sorry if I insist, about changing your pattern and stop sabotaging the way you eat when you're at home. And so you will be online and you will, see food that maybe can inspire you, or you can look at sites where they suggest some recipes and think, that's a recipe I'd like to try. I never done that. Looks quite easy and tasty. And I remember I used to like eating, whatever it is. I used to like eating hummus, and I was making it myself, and I stopped a long time ago. But I'd like to get back to that. Or tzatziki, I'm talking about hummus and tzatziki because it's stuff that I really like, but it can be whatever. You need to get some inspiration. You need to... and for that, either you can ask your friends, what do you usually buy when you go when you go food buying, and or you can go online. You can look at ingredients. You can look at recipe books. You can look at cooking websites and things like that. You probably don't have to change all your food buying habits. I mean, I'm pretty sure that many of the things you usually buy are quite okay. We're talking more specifically about the things which are, I'm sorry if I insist on this and I repeat myself, the things which are more difficult to stop eating, the things that you will, go for if you're not feeling well, if you're feeling like you need some food to make you feel better. And by saying that, I talk more about snacks probably, but it's true as well for the main meals, not only the snacks. Certain foods give you a better satiety. So, for example, if you eat whole rice, it will give you a better satiety than white rice. A banana will give you a better satiety than other fruits, for example. Boiled egg is also a nice thing to have because it will also give you a good satiety. So, yes, I will encourage you to explore this, and maybe at first you won't be entirely satisfied by the stuff you've been buying, but then with time you can have your shopping list, which is making your life easier when you want to lose weight. Things can be more complicated when you're the one buying food for the whole family or for you and your partner, because I think it's unfair of you to want to change their eating habits, or to buy things that they don't really like. It's your thing, really. So you have to buy both. So you have to buy things that are more specifically for you, and things that are more specifically, or things that that they like. But when you're planning a meal, well, it's not easy. You're not going to cook two different meals. So if your partner likes penne with pesto, and you feel like penne with pesto is something you find difficult to eat in small portions, maybe you can buy something that you will eat along with the penne with pesto. So maybe you can have some grilled chicken with your penne with pesto, or a salad on the side, so that they will have their penne with pesto, so will you, but then you will eat less of it because you will have something along with the penne with pesto. So you don't want to change the whole family or the whole family eating habits, because that's not going to work, and it shouldn't be like that. It's your own thing. Think about the food that you used to like before. Sometimes earlier in our life, we eat food that we're really happy with, and with time, for whatever reason, we start eating different kinds of food, and we tend to forget that, oh yeah, I used to like that. I used to like eating a corn on the cob, for example, or I used to like eating, I don't know, whatever it is. There are so many examples. I'm not going to come up with everything, of course, but be more open-minded about the things that you may like, or the things that you've liked before, and how they could fit in your eating habits now. Some people at first are more radical in terms of choices. So when they start the process of losing weight and eating less, well, they will cut off all the food that is too tempting for them. So they won't have any chocolate, any crisp, any whatever is something which they find really hard to saying no to. So they will cut it off. They won't buy it anymore. They will find other things, because they still need to eat, of course, and other things to snack sometimes, but they won't have it in the house anymore. No more wine, no more chocolate, no more crisp. I mean, it's not something I really recommend, but it can make your life easier, at least at first. And then slowly you can, when you feel more confident, you can start buying some chocolate again. Maybe have some chocolate which is, has more cocoa in it, which is stronger. I mean, like 80% cocoa in it, so that you're less tempted to eat it. I mean, if you eat milk chocolate, it's so tempting to keep on eating it. While if the chocolate you buy has a stronger taste and it's a bit, it's more bitter, you will have less of it. So you can do it that way as well. Not buying the food, that kind of tempting, addictive food, so that you're not tempted at first. And then slowly, when you feel more confident, more at ease with things, and mainly more at ease and more confident about the management of your emotions, and that can take some time, you can reintroduce them. But so these are tips, really. And I used to say that I'm not someone who gives a lot of tips, because I think tips don't really work. I think that our issues with weight, more specifically, are more engraved inside us. It's a pattern which we've been doing for such a long time. It's our way of managing our emotions. It's our way of not being in touch with traumas that we've been through. There's so many reasons why we put on weight, why we eat and drink in a way which is not the best for us. So these tips can help practically, but then it will be, the hard job will be more about, why am I eating that way? What's going on? It's not that I love food that much. Yeah, I like food, and sometimes it's really good, but It's something which is deeper in you. It's something that you have to analyze, to understand, and then feel better about. As for myself, the things that I like to have in my fridge or in my cupboard is things like chicory or radishes or licorice. But that's because these are the things I like. So, and I know that when I'm eating a few radishes, I enjoy it. It's crunchy. I like the taste of it. I like I don't know, I think you would call it bitterness of it. And same goes with chicory. Licorice is the food of my youth because when I was, since I'm a young boy, I've always been someone who loved licorice. So that's something I will I will keep loving all my life, I guess. But again, it's a strong taste, licorice. So I will buy the one which is really pure, and I won't buy the licorice all source. I will buy the licorice sticks, which are really stronger in taste. So I don't really need to have a lot of it, and it's not that sweet. I know that I always have boiled eggs as well because I like that. Sometimes I won't eat any for a day or two, and then I will have two of them. It's something I really like. And if I'm feeling a bit peckish, as you say, and I have to boil the eggs, well, I could be tempted to go for something else, which would be more handy, or that I could eat more quickly. So I usually have boiled eggs in my fridge. But again, this is very personal. You've got your own budget, you've got your own taste, you've got your own habits. It depends sometimes also on the shop that you're having nearby and the things that you can find there. I mean, nowadays you can find so many things. When I go to my local supermarket, to the Waitrose, there is way too much choice. I mean, it's so much stuff there, and but do it with, I don't know. Have fun doing it. That's what I mean. Enjoy doing it. Enjoy maybe go to the aisle where you will find the hummus and the guacamole and the tzatziki and the taro salata, and or go to another section where you don't usually go and get some olives and get some pickles. I love pickles, by the way. And rediscover the aisles of your supermarket or their website. And enjoy it, because that's the only way to do it in a way that will last. Otherwise, if it's too harsh, if you're not enjoying the food you're having, if you're not having enough stuff, if you're always eating the same things, you will get tired of it, and then at some point you will say, "Oh, fuck it, I'm gonna go for that." So I don't know if these advice are mindful shopping. I think in order to shop more mindfully, you have to be somehow in a good place. You shouldn't be too much in a hurry. You shouldn't be too tired. You shouldn't be too hungry, because otherwise, when we're hungry, we're really tempted to go for stuff which are not always the best. So find what's the best time for you to go do that shopping. I mean, some of you will listen to this and think, well, what does he think? I work every day from 8 to 6 in the afternoon, 8 in the morning till 6 in the afternoon. I don't have time to go in the middle of the morning. I know it's not that convenient for everyone to find the right time to do it, but I'm sure you can work on that. You can probably work on that.